4.4%, 7.5%, and 16.7%. Yes, that is how much home prices in Canada have increased in 2025. You heard that right, increased. Hey there, welcome back to 𝗂𝗶𝗹𝗁 Real Estate. My name is Matthew Pfeifer. I'm a real estate agent in Regina, Saskatchewan, and that is my trusted assistant, 𝗃𝗀𝗏. No, that's not the national average price, or Toronto, or Vancouver. Those prices I just quoted, that's how much home prices have increased in Halifax, Montreal, and Quebec City, respectively. And that's why when I do these monthly Canadian real estate market update videos, I do them individually and not just the national stats. Because, well, the national average price is down 1%, the benchmark price is down 3%, and if that is all you saw, well, then you probably wouldn't have an accurate picture of what's actually happening in these individual cities. So this is my look at the Canadian real estate market for December 2025, focusing on Quebec City, Montreal, and Halifax. But of course, we're gonna start off with another one of my terrible bad dad jokes. What do sprinters eat before a race? Nothing. They just fast. If you have a terrible joke I can use in a future episode, put it in the comments below. Let's get you up to speed on the Canadian real estate market. Let's start off by looking at the Halifax real estate market. And for years, even before the pandemic, Halifax was a red hot one. We're seeing things slower this year. Just how much? Let's take a look at the numbers. So 340 homes sold in a month. That's down nearly 13% from last year and down 25% from the 5-year average. And really, it's one of the softest Novembers for sales in Halifax in the last decade. How about new listings? Have all those investors from Toronto decided to get out of Halifax real estate market and sell them? Not really, actually. So there was 372 new listings a month. That's actually down significantly from last year and the 5-year average. And when I'm just kind of looking through the charts, really only in 2022 do we see a similar number of new listings in the month. So no, we're not seeing people kind of abandoning the Halifax real estate market, selling everything and getting out right now. But there is more active inventory right now, about 1,100 active listings. So good news for buyers that we continue to see this above 1,000, obviously well above the 5-year average. But that is so badly skewed by how low things were. Just look here, look at 2021. There was only 141 houses for sale in the entire city at that time. That's ridiculous. Can you imagine just opening the realtor app at that time, maybe not knowing what's going on, and you said you're going to search for a house, you put in your price and your specs and everything like that, and nothing shows up because everything's already sold? That would be bonkers. And of course, at that time, if you didn't get to the house like literally the morning it was listed for sale, it was probably sold that night. Now looking at market balance with 3.3 months inventory. So for the first time since actually October, we have a quote unquote balanced market in Halifax. How about home prices in Halifax? Well, still over $600,000 and still up significantly versus last year. And I don't like that Halifax has average price. I would love to show benchmark price instead, but unfortunately they just don't produce that. And even the Canadian Real Estate Association doesn't have benchmark price for Halifax. Don't ask me why. I don't have a good answer for you. It's bounced around quite a bit, but it's the only metric I've got I can work with right now. Now, with prices increasing this fast in Halifax, Montreal, and Quebec City, you're going to want to make sure you have an agent with the knowledge and expertise to navigate this market. And that's where I can help you out, because if you look in the description of this video, there's a link to my calendar where you can book me in for a buyer's consultation. I'm gonna learn about what's important to you, what you're looking for in a house, and then I'll get you set up with one of my personal hand-picked agents from my great network of agents across the area. And if you're moving into Regina, well, I'd love to chat with you as well. So let's have a coffee, book me in. Now let's jump into the Montreal real estate market, where for the first time all year, we've seen a decrease in sales year over year. And remember that last year was a relatively busy one in Montreal too. In Montreal, they had 3,500 homes sold in a month. The big one here is down not only versus last year, but also down versus the 5-year average. Now, last year was what, 3,900 homes that sold in the month. So a fairly busy November for Montreal. One thing that did hamper sales was the fact that not much came up for sale in Montreal last month. Look at the stats here. You can see down versus last year, down versus the 5-year average, and really, 4,700, 4,800 new listings a month is pretty low. You have to go all the way back. We got kind of a one-off here in 2019. We had 4,500. Outside of that, 4,800 is on the really low end for new listings in this time of year in Montreal. And now we get to active listings, 18,000. Again, I've talked about this a lot on this channel, that Montreal has generally always had really large active inventory levels, and the market's been more balanced when it comes to months of inventory, etc., than a lot of other markets in Canada. But that 18,000 is actually really low. Taking a look at the market balance trends here, you can see 5.1 months inventory, so trended back up last month. When we're looking at sales to new listing ratio, almost 74 right now, and that continues to tighten up. What I think is really interesting here is that it's just a little bit below last year, well above 2023, well above 2022, getting close to 2021, 2020 numbers here. It's when you look at the sale to active listing ratio that you see a little bit of a different trend. And we're actually now officially in a balanced market according to this particular metric. So we're at 18.6 if you want to get particular, for the sales to active listing ratio, below last year, above 23, above 22, etc. So we're seeing this trend, and it's essentially the market's softening, loosening up as this number decreases. You have to get below 12 for it to be a buyer's market. But remember, Montreal has generally had a more balanced market, especially than Toronto and Vancouver recently. And when it comes to home prices, comps at benchmark price, I've got it at $584,000. Remember that I do a rough approximation on this based on the average median price, etc. Benchmark price doesn't come out until after I record these videos. So if I've made any sort of a significant mistake, I will pin it in a comment below, but that'll be up about 7.5% year over year. Quebec City is by far Canada's hottest real estate market, seeing the largest price appreciation, nearly 17% year over year. To put it in context, you've got Regina, Saskatoon, Montreal, Winnipeg, and all those kind of floating around 5 to 7% increases year over year. And that's the next highest in Canada. It's not like Quebec is some little tiny city where only a couple of sales happen. You've got a major metro there where massive price increases are happening. And by the way, I've had people say, why don't I do this in French? Simple. I don't speak French. Sorry, I'd love to be able to deliver this in French, but I can't do it for you now. Maybe if there's somebody who wants to translate this whole video for me, that would be cool in the future.
I'm French! Why do you think I have this outrageous accent, you silly king?
What I found really interesting this month in the Quebec City stats, sales down year over year. And yes, last year was pretty busy this time of year, so put it with some context there. It's still above the 5-year average. This is still the 4th busiest November on record in Quebec City. And barring the December sales being catastrophically low, 2025 will see the most home sales ever in Quebec City history. Another little interesting trend is new listings, and that's also probably why we saw a little bit of a drop in sales, because that was not only worse than last year, it was below the 5-year average as well. You're generally not going to set sales records when you have less inventory for buyers to actually buy. In fact, this past month was essentially tied, 3-way tie, for the fewest new listings this time of year in the last decade. So no renewal wave causing a massive surge in new listings in Quebec City right now. Because of the lack of new listings, we saw active inventory start trending in the wrong direction again. 1,700 active listings, that is down almost 44% from the 5-year average. You can see that we're actually starting to see things go the wrong direction. We've seen active inventory, starting 48-ish%, and it had been getting a little bit better through the year, but not much. We got all the way down where September was only down about 39%, and now we're trending back up again. It's a very long-winded way of saying it's getting worse for buyers. And in months of inventory tightened up, we now have 1.7 months of inventory in Quebec City. I think I've said this a few times now, the price increases in Quebec City are bonkers. And no, they're not going to last. Things are going to slow down. It's just a matter of when, not if. Now, 𝗿𝗏𝗶𝗁 is predicting that home prices will increase 12% in Quebec City in 2026. I will have a 2026 predictions video coming out in a couple of weeks, so make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss that video when it comes out. So that benchmark price, about $440,000. And because I'm recording this before this gets published by the Canadian Real Estate Association, I've done a rough approximation. It's up about 17% year over year. And I know this sounds crazy to say, that's still one of the quote unquote smaller year over year price increases in 2025. If on your bingo card, you had Quebec City home prices increasing 15, 16, 17% for the entire year? Let me know. I want you guys to tell me, how much do you think home prices will increase in Quebec City in 2026? And will it be the largest price increases of any city in Canada? So put your predictions in the comments below. I hope you found this video informational and educational. If it was, please give this video a like and subscribe to Prairie Real Estate. You can also check out, again, those other Canadian cities. I'll have the links to the videos in the description below. As always, thanks very much for watching.